Candlestick number 10, which is the second doji candlestick on our list, the long-legged doji. What are the visual characteristics of this puppy? The opening and the closing price are either exactly the same or almost the same. And this is how it was with the classic doji candlestick as well, where the body is either a line or a very narrow rectangle. Again, same logic. But the difference with the long-legged doji is that instead of having short upper and lower wicks, it has very long upper wicks and very long lower wicks. So both wicks are long. And the body is also near the center. It doesn't have to be exactly in the center, more or less in the center. The wicks are more or less balanced because the body is in the center. So it's not like it has a very tiny upper wick and a humongous lower wick. And again, the important note here is that the body doesn't have to be exactly in the center for this to be considered a valid long-legged doji. So if you see this candlestick, for example, in this example, the body is not exactly in the center. It's a little bit in the upper half, but it's still considered a long-legged doji. And it looks like an elongated cross on the charts. So let's see what happened during the move. We know that during the move, the buyers and the sellers stepped in, undoing each other's work. Check. We already understood the logic from this statement with the classic doji candlestick. The end result is that neither side ended up clearly winning. And why do I say that? Because the closing is either the same as the opening price or almost the same. So when you look at the final score, opening versus closing price, pretty much nothing happened. And pay attention how these two statements were both the exact same conclusions that we drew with the classic doji candlestick. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, Caro, then if it's the same conclusion, what is the difference between the classic doji and the long-legged doji?